You may have seen it in the background of my live streams, but it's finally time to take a tour of my One Piece collection.
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and on today's video we're looking at my One Piece collection, which is mostly in this area, but is kind of in some other areas too. Kind of looking at all the stuff I've picked up. Also kind of crazy because I've been, buying One Piece stuff for about 19 months, so it's a quick acceleration, but I got some really cool stuff I want to show you. And if you enjoy this type of video, be sure to hit the like button as well as subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads. But let's begin our tour of my One Piece collection. So obviously we got to start where it all begins for me, which is the manga, because the live-action One Piece was what kind of got me to go back into One Piece after having read it in the old days in the Shonen Jump magazines. So basically, the manga is kind of like my pride and joy in a lot of ways with the One Piece series because I really love reading it, and I've been watching some of the Toei anime, and I do enjoy it. But the manga is like where my love of One Piece comes from. It's really incredible, the series itself in the manga form. Now that being said, I don't have all the manga. I have the 4 box sets here, which contains volumes 1 through 90, which is pretty good. I'm waiting for a 5th box set as opposed to buying, I think we're up to volume like 104 in print now in English. So I'm kind of like waiting for the next box set because at this point, I got kind of a cool thing going on here with the 4 box sets kind of nicely stacked up here, which is pretty awesome. Over to the side, I do have a couple other things here. So here's all the spin-off manga stuff. So we have the Eiichiro Oda one-shot collection, the Aces Story manga adaptation, the Shokugeki no Sanji, which was done by the Food Wars creator, and the Heroines and Aces Story light novels. I don't really know where else to put these, so that's why they kind of sit like right here, like next to the box sets, because what else am I going to do with them? I also have 2 of the Color Walk compendiums. These are art books of all the color artwork that like Oda has done for the series. These are really nice. They're in hardcover, and they have a lot of artwork in them. A lot of the color artwork in here. Some of the color artwork, like the color chapter covers, that aren't in the regular volume, so that's pretty cool. There is a 3rd volume that goes up through Wano that I haven't picked up yet. It's on my list of books to get sometime in the near future. I figured also while we're down here, let's look at the One Piece card game collection. So I don't have a ton. I don't play the game at all, but I really did like these deck boxes. Like here's the Gum Gum Fruit, which I found that the connection on this one has kind of loosened up, so I don't really keep any cards in it. But the Flame Flame Fruit is a lot sturdier, so this is kind of where I keep some of the more specialty cards and kind of just some of the fancier ones in this set. So like, for example, I got the illustration box recently where it's got like the Onami card and the Boa Hancock card by Peach Momoko, one of my favorite artists. So there's some other specialty cards, like this one came with like a treasure pack. This was like a special Dawn card for that. This was the special card that came with the Gum Gum Fruit one. And then some of these others, like there was a deck box I got, or a starter deck I got recently. It was like the Gear 5 starter deck, and these are like the parallel cards that you could get as like bonuses, and I got like Chopper and Robin and Franky, which was pretty cool. And then these are kind of like all these special holo foils that I have. These came from the it was this deck, the Three Brothers deck. There was some alternate cards there that I did get, so I've kind of sleeved up the fanciest specialist cards that I got there, which is pretty cool. And then I just have like a whole lot of, and these are all for booster packs and such. So I've sorted them out. So like this is like all of the, I think this one, oh wait, this is the deck. This is the Gear 5 deck specifically. That's what I put in there. And then in this box, I have pretty much all my other cards, and they're sorted out by like Pirate Crew or Island, basically. So I have them all together. But yeah, that's kind of like my One Piece card game collection. So just like usual, Zoro's a little lost. Specifically this Zoro Banpresto statue, which I picked up at a GameStop and didn't realize how big it was. And he sits at like such an odd angle that even with his little stand, he has a tendency to just fall over. So I've kind of, for now, because I just don't want him to like really break or anything, I've just kind of put him there, just kind of leaning up against the box sets here, because yeah, I just don't know where else to put him. So for the moment, the One Piece action figure collection is on the desk. This is something I want to kind of integrate into another shelf But, you know, we got the figure arts of, like, the Romance Dawn trio. We've got the live-action trio, all the Wano boys, you know, Ace and Sabo, and then all of the anime heroes behind them. So I've reviewed, like, all of these at this point, I think. Maybe some of the reviews haven't come out yet. I don't remember when this is going up, but I don't think Onigashima Luffy's gone up yet in the YouTube shorts. But yeah, I've done YouTube shorts on pretty much all the figure arts. And then I did a video about the anime heroes. But yeah, this kind of just the action figures sitting here for now until they get a better shelf. On my desk here, I've got these World Collectible figures of Ace and Vivi and Karoo and Blackbeard. I picked up these two. This one was a present from my parents. But yeah, kind of got those 3 little figures just chilling there. This is some fun blind bag merch. We got Usopp and Chopper. And then this is a little Franky in a tiny Thousand Sunny that's just floating in some water, which is pretty cool. There's a whole series of those, and I just grabbed one. And they're pretty fun. I have some other keychains of like Luffy's other forms, but I haven't found a place to like hang them up yet. I naturally do have a straw hat. I picked that up at the One Piece Cafe. Simba does a great job holding it, so you know, nothing gets damaged there. But yeah, I do have a Luffy straw hat. Here's some other random merchandise. I got this mug, which when it gets hot, the wanted poster images appear, which is really cool. Got this journal with everybody in like their Wano looks. Pretty much their Raid on Onigashima looks. Picked those 2 up at the One Piece Cafe. Got this at GameStop. It's a jumbo mouse pad with the characters. It's in their early Wano looks. It looks really cool. It is way bigger than it seems. My desk is not big enough for this. Gonna have to like reorganize at some point. And my friend brought me this T-shirt at the One Piece Cafe, which is it's why I kind of keep it nice and neat, because it is the artwork that's on the wall in the One Piece Cafe in Vegas, and it's like the entire crew there. Also, it's my fun recommendation for like, we need a scale chart, and then you just go like, yeah, that's how big Jinbei is, and that's why I barely have any Jinbei merch. And then, of course, we got One Piece Yahtzee, which is kind of fun. It's just like, it's One Piece themed Yahtzee with Luffy's hat being the dice cup, which is really, really cool. So, yes, I do own some One Piece plushies. We got Chopper here. This was a Band Presto Chopper I imported. He's gone on some travels with me. He's really, really cool. This Chopper, he's dressed like Trafalgar Law in his pre-time skip look. And I got him at Round 1. Which is an arcade center chain that's pretty awesome. But I got him there. Imported Beppo. Beppo is Law's first mate. He's a polar bear. I really like Beppo. I got him kind of super cheap. I imported him, and I thought he was like a small plushie like Chopper, but he's actually like gigantic. But then he kind of matches the Trafalgar Law Chopper, so that kind of worked out. I've got these. I forget who made these. These are plushes based on the Netflix series. I'm trying to remember what company did these, because I don't think it says, but yeah, I found those at Target, but they've only made 4 of them to my knowledge, which is Luffy, Zoro, Nami, and Buggy. Buggy doesn't get merch that often, so that was pretty cool. And then these I got at Round 1 recently. These were out of Claw Games, which were a little tricky. They're the first 5 Straw Hats in their Fishman Island looks. We got Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji. Sanji was the hardest one to get because he didn't want to leave the pile of Namis he was in, but yeah, managed to pull all those out of Carl's Claw Games, which was really, really fun. So I got this little ongoing collection of little plushes. So for the home video side of the One Piece collection, there's volumes 1 through 33. Just kidding, I have a ton of gaps. I've been trying to fill this out, and a bunch of them keep going out of stock and seemingly out of print, and maybe Crunchyroll's planning to rerun these again, which would be nice, because volume 12 is a nightmare to get. But yeah, just kind of trying to fill this out as I do. And then, you know, got the movies. There's the Alabasta movie, Film Z, Film Gold, and Film Red. I had back-ordered Stampede and Strong World from Crunchyroll, and then they canceled the back orders, so I guess I need to find those elsewhere. But collection in progress. Eventually, I'll get it all. And the series is popular enough that if anything's going to get reprints, it would be these. All right, now we've circled back to the main display. This is where the most amount of stuff is. And I'm pretty proud of how this looks. Let's start down here. So this is kind of like a, it's a little bit of a supporting cast shelf. We got a Funko Pop of Buggy. Like I said, there's not much Buggy merchandise. It's really hard to get them. Like even Bam Presto statues don't seem to do Buggy. I think also part of the problem is like current design is really hard to make into action figures. But this is pretty cool. I like the separated limbs for his Chop Chop Fruit Power. I also like that he does have a mouth. I think Pops look better when they have mouths. I got a cool little statue of Crocodile there, who's like super crouched, kind of fun. We've got Egghead Island Chopper, looking adorable and stuff. We got Rob Lucci in his awakened form. Just absolutely loved his update designed for the awakened form during Egghead, and that fight between him and Gear 5 Luffy that somehow is not really in the manga. It's kind of like an afterthought in the manga, but it's a big thing in the anime. Really, really cool. And I was like, I really like Rob Lucci as a villain, so I was like, cool, I'm going to get the statue. And then we got the Funko Pop of Emporio Ivankov, because Ivankov doesn't get that much merch. I think there's only there's a statue of him, and yeah, I was like, let me get the Funko Pop. A little bit easier to get. Looking cool though, like the winking face on him there. So then we get up to the main displays. This is like the forward-facing big deal display. So let's start with why these 4 characters in particular. It's because it's my favorite characters. So Luffy's my favorite of the whole series for a lot of reasons, but he kind of just ranks above. So if we're doing my top 3 characters that aren't Luffy, my favorite would be Nico Robin. Absolutely. Second place would be Trafalgar Law. And third place would be Rono Zoro. So that's kind of how this came to be. So let's kind of go through what we have here. All right, so first things first, we got this really cool statue of Zoro using a one-sword style, which is a little different, a little exciting. Also using a crouch pose, which not any figures of Fishman Island Zoro can really do. In terms of Luffy, I absolutely love this. This is from, I don't know, they just put out a series of Luffys, and there's 5 of them. So for each form, and his base form one, if you recognize it, is from the opening. It's from the first opening of the show, where he's spinning the hat on his head, and then Shanks comes up in the intro, and then he's wearing the hat to kind of show the legacy thing. Always love that shot. It's so iconic, and to get it kind of in a 3D form here was just super appealing to me. So I was like, no, I definitely want that statue. And he's pretty big. He's pretty big, but I really, really like him. So it's officially the angle would be like that to replicate the shot from the opening, but I kind of put him facing forward because I think it still works pretty well. This is the Raiden Onigashima era Nico Robin Banpresto statue, looking beautiful. And then we've got the Funko Pop of Orobi, which was Robin's Wano disguise. So we got that. That's a little figure of Luffy. Came from a blind bag based on the Netflix show. That was pretty cool. I didn't really have any other place to put him, so I was like, let me just lean him up against Robin. And then we got Trafalgar Law. This is post-Wano look. Picked that guy up at GameStop, and I was actually pretty surprised because his price was a little bit lower than some smaller statues they had, but he's pretty large. So it's pretty cool. Also, it's a different look than either the 2 action figures of Law. And then there's the Funko Pop of Beppo. Beppo doesn't get that much merch. I mean, I got that, and I got the plush. But yeah, it's his first mate, so of course you got to put Beppo with Law. It's kind of funny because the way Law is side-eyeing things is just he's like, Beppo, what did you do? How did you end up in this situation? Also, this is a flocked Funko Pop, so I'm kind of hoping it'll be okay in the future. I guess we'll find out. But pretty awesome. Now, speaking of the Funko Pops, yeah, you've seen 4 of them. There's more. So basically, in an effort to have one plastic physical representation of the entire Straw Hat crew, I went with the Funko Pops. Because Anime Heroes doesn't have the whole crew, Figure Arts doesn't have the whole crew, the Banpresto statues, I can't figure out any time you could get the entire crew in one matching look. So I opted to instead get the Funko Pops. And then they don't all match, but that's fine with me because I think it kind of represents the series a little bit. So we have Romance Don Luffy. This is a gift from my parents. That was actually the first one. It's the inception point of all this. I picked up the pre-time skip Zoro. It's one of my favorite designs. We got Nami in her Wano look. The Usopp, I decided to get the one with the rubber band of doom because I think it's just kind of an iconic move of the character. We got Fishman Island Sanji. I got this one because it has the cool fire base, and he's got the cigarette and everything. So I thought, yeah, that one's really, really awesome. And then we come around to the other side. We got Fishman Island Chopper, who weighs a solid 1.5 pounds for some reason. That thing is just a thick pop. Nico Robin in her Fishman Island look. Franky in his Fishman Island look. Brook in his Bone Kichi disguise from Wano, because there's I think 3 Brook Funko Pops, and both of them were exclusive to conventions and are very expensive, but this one was just retail and easy to get. So there's that. And then we got Jinbei, which actually is the chase version with the orange gi. But yeah, that was one of the big things, is that there was other sets that I could get, like the first 9, but to get Jinbei, to go with everybody else in the same like line, had to go Funko Pop. And I thought the Jinbei Pop looked good. I thought that Brook one. They're not like in scale with each other or anything, but there's kind of a fun representation of the characters, which is what I was kind of looking for, to just kind of get the whole crew in one style. Along the back side here, we got some more statues. This was a gift from a friend, which is Luffy in the raid look. We got Nami in her Egghead Island look. And then we got Robin in her film red look, which I always really, really like the design of that. Yes, another Funko Pop. It's the last one. But it is the Funko Pop Nami in the display case with her Wanted poster, which I thought was really cool. I would buy a whole series of those if they were easier to get. Just to have like the whole Straw Hats with their Wanted posters would be really, really awesome. I just really like that. You can see over here, we got a few ship models. So we got Law's Polar Tang, the submarine. We've got a Boa Hancock's Snake Force ship. That's not the name of it. I can't actually remember the name of it. Just remember it as Boa Hancock ship. And then on the other side, of course, we got the Going Merry, the original ship there. And then we've got Shanks's Red Force. There's some other ships in that line. I don't have the other ones. I don't really feel like owning Blackbeard or Whitebeard ship or Dragon ship. But yeah, I do have those four to kind of represent them. We got Tony Chopper, the super robot, which I did a YouTube short on. And all of his little like minifigures. That thing is so cool. And then the centerpiece, which is the Grand Ship Collection 1000 Sunny. So there's this ship line, which pretty much only does the majority of the ships are made in this line, whereas they've only done a couple in this larger size. And so I'm actually going to move Luffy out of the way so that way you can see it better. But this is the large scale, which my mom bought me for Christmas, and I built it and stickered it and made it look pretty. The skull and crossbones of Jolly Roger, a little crooked, whatever. It's hard. For some reason, the skull and the crossbones were separate stickers. But this is just kind of like a much bigger scale ship. So we got like the 3 little vehicles down there that pop out of the sides. You can remove these panels and replace them with the rollers. You can replace the front part with the cannon open. So it's got a lot of extra details. It's really, really detailed down to like the little flags and the crow's nest and like the back sail and everything. It was really fun to build it. And then the coolest part is you do get these minifigures. They don't come painted. They don't come in plastic colors. But it's everybody in their Fishman Island looks. I know they just released a new version of this where everyone's in their Wano looks, but they didn't include Jinbei, which is a faux pas in my eyes. So yeah, we got Luffy, Franky, and Usopp. The one annoying thing with these is that it's kind of annoying for me just because I wasn't going to paint them. You have to glue them to their bases. If you want them on those little stands, you need to glue them down because they come separate. So if you wanted to paint them, you could do that. If you wanted to just glue them straight to the deck, you could. I kind of wanted them loose. The only one I didn't put the stand on was Franky because he kind of stands well on his own, but also I can keep him at the ship's wheel because, again, we don't have a Jinbei, and so you can kind of fit perfectly right there. And then over here on the deck, we've got Nami and Robin and Chopper and Zoro. Zoro was the best and easiest to put together because he doesn't need a stand. And then Sanji's up here, kind of coming from the kitchen. And then Brook here is playing his music on the railing. He was the absolute hardest to glue. My solution was to glue him to the base and then have him lean a little bit so he was leaning on the railing and then just let him dry in place right there with the corner of that stand being in the railing hole. And that's how I got him to stay. Because the two-footed one's a little easier. The one-footed one's a little harder, but that's kind of the centerpiece of the display. That's kind of like the centerpiece of the collection, right? Like that is the main display. Yeah, there's Digimon stuff down there. It's not about them. It's about One Piece. And so I kind of have like a neat little display. So it's kind of like from the front you can see it sort of different from the sides, and I like doing that, especially with this shelf being on top and being something you can kind of walk around. I think it's kind of fun. So there we go. That's the One Piece collection. So that does it for this video touring my One Piece collection. If you did enjoy it and you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Also, be sure to leave any comments or questions down below. You can always check out other videos on the channel. There's a whole One Piece playlist, which I do recommend checking out if you enjoy One Piece. Also, you can continue the conversation by joining our Discord server in the link below. You can also join as a channel member to help support the channel directly and get perks like early access to videos, member-exclusive live streams, and more. So let's give some special shout-outs to our channel members. Special shout-out to all our channel members, including Spin-54, Toma K, MasterBin95, Forever1000, Super Shaddix Boom, Mr. Smelly Potatoes, Silver Bricks, Travis's Media Madness, Gokai Gamer, Josh Frisch, Muhammad Faiz Daniel, Brenton Yadin, Stephen Hiajosa, Jamie's World, Cameron Meter, Taylor Black, Starhu, Gabriel Saez, Luffy D Monkey, Joy-Con Girl, Mas Fuego, Oni Oni-chan, Dr. Grid, RC Scorchcore, Crestfallen Thoughts at Midnight, Paul Miller, Colby Massengale, Aggressively Relaxing, Michael, Kaiju1954, and B-Men. Thank you all for your continued support of this channel. If you so wish, I'm on social media at Blue Sky at Soundout12. You can also find me in our Discord server, and you can find my awesome graphic designer on social media and in our Discord at DarkClaw643. Plus, you can find Hero Club at HeroClub.com for anime interviews and more. Until next time, this is Soundout saying, see you on the Grand Line.